All right, guys. So one of my favorite things to talk about, because I lived this life for a long time, is getting comfortable in being uncomfortable. It sounds incredibly simple, but so many guys are terrified of this, and there's some point in our lives that we convert to this notion of men are supposed to have the answers for everything, and men are not supposed to question or not know how to do something or know about something. And what this leads to is living a life in a comfort zone. So men tend to, so many men do this. And when I say this, you're probably gonna be like, oh shit, I do that. Because I found myself doing this for a little while in a brief moment of my life. I found myself saying yes and shaking my head to things that I knew nothing about when people were speaking, but acted like I actually knew what they were talking about. How many of you guys do this? I wish I could see all your hands, because I know so many men do this. There's a reason why we do this, and that's because we have this belief that we are expected as men to know everything. And if we don't know everything, or we don't know about something, we are then less than the other person who actually knows about that. But how unrealistic is that to believe that we are supposed to know everything? And how unrealistic is that for you or for any other person to hold somebody accountable for not knowing something? Now, the reason I say this is because most people actually get more respect for you when you ask them questions about their knowledge base or about something they're experienced in. Guess what? Couple things happen here. People love talking about themselves, so they get to exude their own confidence, right? And number two, you are seen as somebody who's actually interested in them. Now, obviously, this plays into a lot of positives, not only with making friends, but with relationships as well. People like to know that they're interesting. And so as men, if we can drop this notion of just like, oh yeah, we're supposed to know everything, so we shake our head yes and say yes to things that we have no concept of, if we get rid of that notion, we actually get to learn a lot more, and we get to embrace a bigger community, and we get to expand our experiences because we're actually starting to consume more of what is around us. We're starting to learn more about different subjects from different experts. But we have to release the fact that there's something about being comfortable that is so appetizing to us that we actually will act like we know stuff that we have never heard of before. And so being uncomfortable, which means that you get to be, and listen to what I said, you get to be the student again, guys. You get the opportunity to be a student. And that is so, so, so important, because students are constantly learning, students are constantly trying, and students are constantly, guess what? Big shocker here, quote unquote, failing. And that becomes an experience in and of itself. But if we remain in the comfort zone of never trying to get outside of what we know or what we're expected to know or the things that we've done in our lives up until this point, if we're not willing to get outside of that and try something new, then guys, we are going to live a life of very, very, very much mediocrity. And we are going to actually take away from our experiences, and we're going to bullshit our way into insubstantial relationships. And it's not a great place for us to be. So understanding that if we just allow ourselves to really embrace the fact that being uncomfortable is a comforting place, because if we're being uncomfortable, we're stretched, we're challenged, We have the ability to assess and we have the ability to expand. But being uncomfortable is a great place to be. If we can learn to embrace that, to explore that, and to receive that, then we have the ability to really live a cool life. Not only that, but we really get to be interesting people ourselves because we get to learn more about the world, about the universe in general. We get to talk to people about expanding notions and concepts of what it is to even be in existence. So when we look at being uncomfortable, think about the last time you tried something new. Think about the last time you were in a conversation with somebody who had a knowledge base around something far, far outside of yours and you shook your head yes, or you just said yes to act like you could be part of the crowd. Instead of being like, hey man, what does that mean? Treat me like a 5-year-old. I'd love to learn. You know, having that statement in your toolbox is a pretty good one. I use it pretty often because I am a 5-year-old and I do like to learn. And there are plenty of people out there that know quite a bit more than I do. And so when we find ourselves being uncomfortable, we should actually be happy about that. We should revel in it. We should be like, wow, I'm expanding. If I'm uncomfortable, I'm expanding. I'm challenging fringes of my experience. Or I'm going so far outside of my experience, I'm just expanding a neural network into a place that is really uncharted for me. And how cool is that? How much fun is life when you get to just experience new things? And it doesn't mean you have to always go back and do those things again, whether it's a physical experience or whether it's a conversation or whether it's a subject you're learning about or whether it's trying a new language, whatever it is. It doesn't matter if you go back there. It just matters that you're open to being part of it at some point when it exposes itself to you and allowing yourself to be part of it. When's the last time somebody asked you out to go do something fun or something interesting and you said no because it actually frightened you to do that because you'd never done it before, and if you got embarrassed or you looked like you didn't know what you were doing, you were going to feel less than or weak? How many times have you tried to put yourself in that comforting position just to say, wow, yeah, like I can be good at something. I can impress other people. How about you just do more things, and when things come up that are in your wheelhouse, you can impress people then. But if you allow yourself to do more things instead of curating the path that you're going down, curating the experience you're having and allow the experience to be chaotic, well, then you can embrace the uncomfortable. You know, when I was in special operations and we would run missions, it would be absolute chaos. We used to joke about it that it was organized chaos because we had a plan, but nothing ever really went to that plan. And we had base levels of training, very high base levels of training. And that's really what allowed us to effectively maneuver some form of the plan that we had in place. But we lived life in chaos, and it created us to be highly adaptable men. And in that level of adaptability, uncomfortableness becomes a lot more fun. Uncomfortableness becomes a lot more intriguing. Uncomfortableness becomes a lot more comfortable. Because when you're a highly adaptable individual and you have the ability to ask questions and to know when to be the student and when to be the teacher or when to be the follower and when to be the leader, when you know those things, you can give yourself the experience in life that has a lot more highs than lows. It has a lot more randomness than orchestration. And when you do that, life gets to be really fun, guys. And so I challenge you, men, I challenge you guys to find points in your life when you stopped allowing yourself to experience new things for the fear of being uncomfortable. Or even just think about the most recent time that you did this and start to ask yourself why, and then start to tell yourself the next time something comes up that is outside of my wheelhouse, that I'm like, oh, that seems like fun, but I kind of feel like, inside I kind of feel hesitant because it's not really like something I do. When that comes up, just tell yourself you're going to say yes. Tell yourself that when you say yes, you're saying yes to experiencing life. And then follow through with it. Follow through with the yes. Follow through with being part of that experience. Follow through with that conversation. And if none of that works, just simply ask yourself, why not? That is something that when I started to find myself blocking experiences and conversations or playing the fool and acting like I knew something I didn't, I started to ask myself, why not? Why not ask a question? Why not actually learn about it? Why not put myself in a position to experience something new? Maybe I'm good at it. And maybe I do want to take it up. But why not? So just ask yourself, guys, when the uncomfortable comes up, why not be part of it?